think people are afraid that they're going to lose the human experience. What we have to understand is it's not going to replace the human experience. It's going to make it a little bit better.
Welcome to the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage Show, and I'm your host, Wray. My mission is to help you understand AI and use it to your advantage. Join me today where we dig deep with our guest and get you the best concepts and strategies. Today's special guest is Jessica Baladad. Jessica is a 5-year breast cancer survivor who transformed her pain and created Feel for Your Life, a free mobile application that provides resources on how to perform self-exams and when to get screenings. Today we're talking about utilizing AI in breast cancer. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hey, Richard, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's really great to have you here, Jessica. And as I ask all my guests, where in the world are you?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA.
I was going to say arguably the music capital of America, although there might be a few people in Detroit who would argue with that and a few other places. But anyway, that's for another podcast. But anyway, let's get into this, Jessica, because this is actually, I make no secret of this, this is a topic that is close to my heart with family members having experienced the exact challenge that we're talking about today. So, Jessica, tell us a little bit about your background, though, and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, so it really goes back to when I was 18 years old and getting ready to start college. I wanted to be a journalist. I told myself I am going to work in a big city writing stories about human interest. I'm going to be writing breaking news.
You had that dream, you've got that vision.
Yeah, all creative, right? So I start my freshman year in college. I accidentally stumbled upon a lump in my right breast while taking a shower.
But at 18?
18 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought, oh my God, am I too young to get cancer? Because cancer runs rampant in my family on my dad's side. And as it turned out, it was a benign mass called a fibroadenoma, very common in young women going through hormonal changes, for various reasons. And so I had it removed. And it was that experience that put me in the habit of performing monthly self-exams. Fast forward, I'm 33 years old. I'd worked in journalism, marketing, technology. I was raised by my dad, and he's got a technological background. That's always had an influence on me. But I was really more of a creative at heart. So here I am in marketing, a great marketing career, 33 years old. I'm in the shower, and it's time for me to do my routine self-exam. Now, I had just gone to the doctor like 2 days prior, and she did a clinical exam of my breasts. And I thought, well, she didn't say anything to me about it, so maybe I could just, skip my exam. And then I thought, no, I just need to stay in my routine. I go over the right side, everything's okay. I go over the left side, and I find a lump. And I thought, oh my God, am I too young to have cancer at 33? The doctor didn't say anything to me about this during my exam. I'm in good shape. I take care of my body. I guess I'm okay, because again, the doctor didn't say anything to me. But as it turned out, I was eventually correctly diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. And I went through chemotherapy, a double mastectomy, I had radiation, I had a hysterectomy, and I had flap reconstruction, and where they took fat tissue and blood vessels from my stomach and placed them in my chest to recreate my body. And while I was going through cancer and I was telling my friends and family about how I got diagnosed, I learned that no one was doing their self-exams or really even knew that they were supposed to. And I saw a problem there.
You clearly went through a really challenging situation, especially with the amount of surgery and the treatment you were getting there. You mentioned that it was stage 2B.
Yes.
And of course, we go up to stage 4 and there is no stage 5. Would you have still have had to have that same level of intervention if you'd have caught the cancer earlier?
That's a question I ask myself all the time. Would I have gone through that much chemotherapy, that
Mhm.
much radiation? But, I'm the fourth generation on my dad's side of the family to have
Mhm.
had breast cancer. And I often say cancer ran in my family until it ran into me. And I wanted
Uh,
to do everything I could to put a stop to it. So I think I would have tried to still do as much as I could have done at an
mhm.
earlier stage, but I don't regret where I am. It was meant to happen, and I just do the best to take care of myself now.
I think we already have the quote of the day: cancer ran in my family until it ran into me. I absolutely love that as a state of mind. So other people that might be listening, you don't have to sit back and just take this or wait for this, bogeyman to crop up on you. You can actually start dealing with these things before they even happen.
Right? Absolutely.
So that led you to the creation of an app. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, like I said, while I was going through my cancer journey, I learned that there were three primary reasons that women were not performing their self exams. No one had ever taught them how. They
Mhm.
felt ashamed to touch their bodies. Or, here in the US, they were underinsured or uninsured and just didn't have the finances to, to get screened or take care of themselves
So
or know.
people were hoping it would go away or wouldn't happen in the first place. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, kinda just out of sight, out of mind. If I don't think about it, nothing's wrong, sort of that
Hmm. Hmm.
mentality. And during the pandemic, I was working with the NFL, the National Football League,
Hmm.
to, promote their Crucial Catch campaign that they run in October. And when we were recording, when they were going over the basis for the campaign, they, had told me, and this is I had learned that women were missing their mammograms because of the restrictions on going to the hospital, or they were afraid to go to the hospital because of COVID. They were
Hmm.
missing their screenings and getting diagnosed at later stages. So I remembered a self exam is what saved my life. And I wanted to get the word out about that. Everybody was glued to their phones during the
Absolutely.
pandemic. And I thought, I need to do something big. I need to learn how to create an app. I need to take all of my background in, creativity and marketing and journalism and what I knew about technology and all my interests there. And I was going to create an app. And I told myself I wanted it to show women how to perform self exams, let
Mhm.
her track and monitor her progress, and set monthly reminders and provide all those resources about screenings and how to take risk reducing measures against breast cancer.
It sounds like you were almost made or born to do this with a combination of skills and experiences that you've got.
This is truly my calling. Absolutely. Cancer became my calling the moment I was diagnosed. When I found out from the doctor, the words, this is cancer, I was actually losing an aunt to breast cancer at the time. And I just thought about everything my family had gone through. And I'm like, it is time for me to step up and do something about this.
Mhm.
And the fact that I was so young at the time of my diagnosis, I'm like, I know I'm not the only person this happens to at this age. And what I learned is that in the United States, anyway, 12,000 women under the age of 40 will be diagnosed with breast cancer every year. And so I'm like, I have to talk about self exams. I am truly meant to do this, and I'm going to do something about it.
Yes, we have in Australia, where I live, we have the uh, a cricketer called Glenn McGrath,
Mhm.
and he lost his wife to breast cancer. And every year there is a special event, a cricket game, a test match, where basically all of the profits, all the proceeds are given over to breast cancer. And it's absolutely amazing. And it really is a very, very important thing. It's definitely part of the Australian calendar. So, it's everywhere without a shadow of a doubt. And it doesn't matter how old or young you are, it can crop up.
Absolutely. I run into women across social media.
Hmm.
I just kind of post a question like, who's too young to get breast cancer? And I don't have an answer for that because I currently work with a 17, 18-year-old right now who just got diagnosed.
Oh, my goodness.
I like,
But that could have been you from your earlier story quite easily.
oh, it could have been absolutely because, I found the benign tumor. that I had. And my first thought was cancer, because when you feel a lump in your breast, it's like, oh my
That's where
God,
your mind goes to straight away.
absolutely. Yeah.
And just out of interest, purely on stats, I don't know if you'll have these to hand, but you mentioned that because of COVID and lockdowns and people being afraid to go to hospitals, there was a drop in screenings. Has that resulted in a statistical change in the amount of people who are getting diagnosed later or getting cancer?
I did read some statistics. I don't have anything specific. I did hear, we kind of hear about things like excess death because of
Mhm.
COVID. And I don't have specific numbers, but I do know like cancer did fall into that because people were being diagnosed at later stages. They didn't get help. They didn't go to the
Mhm.
doctor.
Mhm.
So yeah, there was an increase of stage 4 diagnoses. And as a result, more cancer death because of that.
That's such a pity, but there's been so many knock-on effects there. So with breast cancer, if caught early enough, it is one of the most treatable cancers of all. Is that correct?
From what I understand and what I've learned about it from different organizations, yes.
And that's where your app is so important.
Yes. Statistically speaking, early detection makes an incredible difference in survival outcomes. I believe if you can catch cancer, I mean, you to be able to feel a lump, it's not, if you feel a lump and it's cancer, it's likely not going to be stage 0. But I do know stage 1 to stage 0, you have about 95 to 99% chance of survival.
Mhm.
Stage 2, if you catch it early, it's a 90% 5-year survival rate. Stage 3, I want to say maybe around 80-85%. But you still have a pretty good survival chance. Now you also have to consider the type of hormone profile it will
Mhm.
have. There's something called triple negative breast cancer, and then you have inflammatory breast cancer. And those 5-year survival rates are going to be different because of how
Mhm.
aggressive they are. But your doctor is really, he or she will go over your entire pathology and work out a plan with you to ensure your greatest survival rate.
And I think we should call this out as well. Your app is very important and it gives people advice on what to do and how to get screening, but it's certainly no substitute for actually having the mammograms and seeing a physician.
Correct. In fact, throughout the app, I encourage people to work with their medical providers. And that's why I implemented the AI feature inside of the app so that it would make it easier for patients and their medical providers to have better, more productive conversations about breast health and advocacy, and to better understand their bodies so that they can advocate for their best care.
So tell us about the AI portion that you've created.
Yeah. So what you can do is, well, as AI just continually evolved over the past couple of years, I just
Mhm.
became such an AI geek. I wanted to be able to
That's your
replicate.
dad showing, by the way. That's your dad coming through, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That is my dad entirely. Just growing up with him, I had the Barbies and the dolls, but he also was getting me video games and technology for me to familiarize myself, because he always instilled like, this is where the future is going. You need to understand how
Hmm.
this works and how to use it. But yeah, so the geek side of me, I really got into AI over the past couple of years because
Hmm.
I saw how it was being used. I think it was during the pandemic I first saw an article about how AI was being used to read mammograms, and how it improved the accuracy of being able to find potential malignancies. And so as it evolved and I started to understand it more on a more personal level, I thought, how can I take this and put it into my app so that I can bridge the gap between what people may think about AI and how it can actually help them in their medical advocacy and their breast health advocacy. So I taught myself, the coding. I taught myself Python,
Hmm.
and I implemented it into the app. And what I wanted to do is create something that if a woman or anyone really has lab work or medical pathology, they can take that text and put it into the app, because whenever you get that pathology report and it comes through, it's in all this medical jargon that you don't necessarily understand. It's written from doctor to doctor so that doctors can understand it. And then you're looking at it just with question marks like, what is going on in my body? So you can put that terminology into what I call BreastFriendAI inside of the Feel for Your Life app, and it'll translate it into terms and lingo that you understand and give you questions to ask your medical provider specifically about your pathology. It's going to think of the questions that you may
Mhm.
not have thought of so that you can understand what's going on and advocate for the care that you think is best for you while working with your provider.
I think you've hit on something really important there as well. Taking very difficult technical jargon
Mhm.
in a topic that you would hope you would never run into or have any knowledge of unless you are an oncologist, and suddenly you're thrust into the middle of this, and you're probably stressed, you're scared, and you're seeing all these phrases and terms that you've never seen before, and they all sound truly terrifying. And it's the old thing of, Dr. Google, instantly everything's cancer, but if you start off at cancer in the first place, where are we going to go next? It's not
Exactly.
pleasant.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I would have friends who would Google things and come to me, and I'm calming them down
Hmm.
and just trying to, help them through that. I get so many DMs. This is kind of how it started. So many DMs of women who are like, hey, I just had a mammogram and this is what came back to my chart. Can you tell me what this means? And I have to tell them, look, I'm not a doctor, but I can walk you through what I understand and help you, ask questions to your medical provider. And then that just evolved into, why do I not just use this and put it into AI and put something in the app? And that's what it's become. And whether you're someone who's just getting screened regularly, or even if you're a stage 4 cancer patient, you can put your pathology in there and help you understand what's going on ahead of those doctor's appointments to have a better conversation.
So one of the classic things I see with AI when it's used in a smart way like you're using it is it becomes a trusted advisor who doesn't have any sort of point of view, doesn't have any opinion about you or your background or anything at all. It doesn't judge. It just translates in the scenario that you're talking about into language that you can use and helps you. As simple as that.
Right. And actually I built mine to, because I've been a patient, I am a patient,
Mhm.
and I understand the patient experience. I built it for it to be empathetic and
Mhm.
understanding. Like, you can even put inside of it like, I just found a lump and I'm scared. And it's
Mhm.
going to be like, hey, it's going to relate to you. I built it to be somewhat relatable and somewhat human so that you felt like you were heard and understood, and you could ask the questions to help you get the results to have, again, those better outcomes that you want to get when you see your medical provider.
Well, this is a classic example of knowledge is power. And if it's being
Absolutely.
presented to you in a way that you can understand, again, this has to be good news.
Yeah, I think
The other
so.
part that you mentioned as well is the way that AI is being used in screening. The report I read that even a couple of years ago now, screening with AI was already beating, for accuracy, the standard approach of two oncologists reviewing screenings, which is truly amazing. Yet people are still afraid of using this technology in many ways. What's your take on that?
I think people are afraid that they're going to lose the human experience. And you can't, it's difficult to think about what a relationship with a robot or technology looks like when they're taking on something that we've always traditionally known as someone who goes through the process of getting a medical degree. If that person is going to be replaced, what does this AI actually know? What does it not know? What can it get wrong? How can it be right all the time? It's that it creates a lot of anxiety because it's just the fear of the unknown. And I think that what we have to understand is it's not going to replace the human experience. It's going to make it a little bit better and more accurate for humans to deliver, doctors to deliver the care to their patients to get the best medical outcomes.
And I think that's one of the important things. if used as a tool rather than a straight replacement of humans, because AI, even with all the advancements, and I've seen some of the latest work out of OpenAI, and yes, it's amazing, but it still doesn't beat having somebody there and showing empathy and helping you.
Absolutely, I agree. It's just going to, again, a tool, but it's not going to replace anybody. I don't foresee that happening.
When I have this conversation with people about various topics, sometimes you get this vision in people's heads where they clearly think that humans never get it wrong. And this is not the case at all. And you can apply that to pretty much any topic you can think of. So that's very interesting indeed. So how many people are actually using your app at the moment? Is it widespread?
Yeah, it's used by people all over the world. I'd say I'm approaching over 25,000 right now. It grows by leaps and bounds. Hundreds of people download it every day as as it just gets a broader reach and people learn about what I'm doing and what I'm trying to achieve, and just growing it and wanting to amplify breast health advocacy. And it's an honor and privilege that I think people trust me because I'm a patient who's been through it and they relate to that. And because I found a lump by doing a self-exam, they see that, hey, she turned out okay. She's doing well. So if I find a lump, and even if it is the worst case scenario, that I'm going to be okay because I was proactive and I got ahead of this.
That makes a lot of sense. And if you've got that many people using it, you must literally have saved lives.
Yes, I think I have. I hear from women who say, "Hey, I found a lump, thanks to you. It turned out to be okay, but I'm taking, risk reducing steps. I'm getting screened now regularly." They're showing it to their doctors. They're showing it to their family members. They're showing it to their friends who are all downloading it, and they're doing self exams, and they're having more conversations about breast health rather than, when we think about women's breasts, they tend to be sexualized, but now we're thinking of them as also, hey, this is part of my body and I need to take care of myself. And so, and that includes, breast health and whenever I advocate for what I want to do with my body. And the people that I hear from, I mean, I get so many DMs, so many messages, so many emails. There's one woman out in California who even she had breast cancer, and even though she had it, she went into remission for a short period. No one had shown her how to do a self-exam after cancer, but she downloaded my app, did a self-exam, found a lump, and found a local reoccurrence in her breast. And it gave her, more options and choices for her treatment when she had to go through it again. So I like to think that, yeah, with this many people doing self-exams all over the world, there are probably several stories that I haven't heard as well. So, but it's just, I'm just humbled that so many people trust me with this.
Well, you don't need to hear the stories at the end of the day. You just need to know that you're doing good work, which you clearly are. So that's wonderful news.
Thank you.
So Jessica, tell me, if there's one piece of advice that people should take away from our conversation today, what would it be?
I would say, I'm going to give you 5 little tips for,
But bonus today. Yes.
5 quick, short, simple, sweet. Number 1, to advocate for your breast health, find a great doctor. Number 2, do your self-exams. You can learn how by downloading the Feel for Your Life app. Number 3, get screened or talk to your doctor about what a screening routine would look like in the future. Number 4, understand your breast density. Your breast density will make a difference in the type of screenings that you get and contribute to your risk of breast cancer. And number 5, understand your genetic history of cancer. And that's all cancers, because there are studies that show correlations between ovarian cancer and breast cancer, colon cancer and breast cancer, even people in your family who have had prostate cancer and breast cancer. So understanding that will help you and your medical provider create a screening plan for you or a risk-reducing plan for you to take care of yourself.
That is fantastic advice. Jessica, I can't say thank you enough for today. As I say, this one's quite personal for me in some ways, but thank you so much. 2 more questions. Where can people find you? And let's hear the name of that really important app one more time.
Sure. People can find me on Facebook or Instagram or even LinkedIn. The name of the app is Feel for Your Life. You can find it in the App Store or the Google Play Store or at www.feelforyourlife.com.
That is absolutely fantastic. Well, again, thank you for your time today, and I wish you the best of luck with all your endeavors going forward.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here today.
Well, that's a wrap on another awesome guest episode for the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage show. Just before you go, if you like this episode, we would be very grateful for a 5-star review. Please also consider recommending the show to a friend or two. Make sure you subscribe for future episodes at aiadvantage.show right now. Until next time, I'm Richard Wray, and make sure you get the AI Advantage today.